Serious Dave here, and this is my rant about gun reviews on YouTube. This rant isn't meant to be a personal attack on anyone. It's just about some things that certain reviewers do and say that drive me fucking crazy. I'm sure many people will disagree with my opinions and call me a dinosaur and say that I'm living in the past. I would reply that progress isn't necessarily a good thing. Remember, cancer is progressive too. I'll start with the guys at Nut and Fancy. I'm sure they're good guys, but they really drive me nuts sometimes. For starters, their reviews are mind-numbingly long. They run for about 40 minutes each because they begin by rambling on about the same irrelevant bullshit that they've already said in every other review that they've done. These reviews could be done in 15 minutes if they would cut the bullshit and just get on with it, for Christ's sake. And please, enough with the cool 1 and cool 2 crap. That shit only appeals to 12-year-olds playing video games. These guys are also obsessed with weight. During their review of the PTR 91, we heard them whining about its weight every other minute. And they said that those who don't care about its weight don't have to lug them around like they do. Why don't you just get an HK wide handguard to replace the stock handguard, which you hated anyway, and attach an HK 3-point sling. If you can't handle an HK 91 type with this setup, then you might as well just put on a dress and call yourself Nancy. As Jeff Cooper said, this brings up the question of whether we simply are not the men that our grandfathers were, physically as well as morally. And if you don't know who Jeff Cooper is, then that's sad. And why can't these guys ever shoot 5-shot instead of 3-shot groups? 3-shot groups are for hunting rifles. 5-shot groups are for military-type rifles. Anyone can make themselves look like a hero and make their rifle look great, shooting only 3-shot groups. For example, I shot this group with my 8mm FN-49 rifle, iron sights, 100 yards, military surplus ammo, .44 of an inch. Great group, right? Well, I thought so too, because when I looked through my spotting scope and saw this fantastic group, I admit I pussied out. I quit. I didn't want to ruin it with a couple of flyers. On the other hand, the best 5-shot group I ever shot with this rifle is 2.88 inches. So I think 5-shot groups are more indicative of what a rifle is really capable of accuracy-wise. Okay, next rant. Can anybody shoot worth a damn without a big-ass scope? Shoot some groups with a scope, but shoot some 1 and 200 yard groups with iron sights too. Sure, a scope helps show the true accuracy potential of a rifle, but I think it's important and interesting to see how these weapons perform with iron sights. For example, Mr. Guns and Gear. I like his reviews, but in a review of a DSA FAL, he said he wasn't going to shoot any groups because he didn't have a scope mount. Really? Are people afraid that others will see that they just can't shoot worth a damn without a scope? Or have they just become slaves to technology? What are they going to do if they're in combat and their optics get damaged, or it's raining or foggy? Hey Sarge, can I be excused from the firefight? I don't have a scope. Alvin York and Samuel Woodfill will be rolling in their graves. And if you don't know who they are, then that's sad too. Now, I don't claim to be a great shooter, but if I can shoot decent groups with iron sights and less than perfect vision, then anybody should be able to. For example, this is a group I shot with my Greek-made HK-91, 5 shots, 200 yards, iron sights, military surplus ammo, 3.3 inches. And this is a group I shot with my Steyr STG-58, built by DSA. It's 100 yards, iron sights, military surplus ammo, and it is 1.25 inches. And finally, reviewers go on and on detailing all the features of today's latest and greatest rifles, which is fine. But the reality is that rifles like the FAL and G3 that went into service over 60 years ago are basically just as good as today's rifles. Yeah, you can nitpick about things like a mag release button being a quarter of an inch too far away from your finger, and extol the virtues of an adjustable stock and multiple rails that hang all kinds of unnecessary crap. But other than these bells and whistles, modern rifles really haven't progressed substantially. I will concede that most of today's rifles are a little lighter than older weapons, but in some ways they're inferior. The FN-FAL is a short-stroke piston and non-reciprocating charging handle, but the FN SCAR, which is praised by many as the greatest military rifle ever made, has a long-stroke piston and a reciprocating charging handle. This is a step backwards. What the fuck was FN thinking? Did their designers time travel back to 1946? And just as an aside, having a designated marksman in an infantry squad is the Army admitting that they made a mistake in abandoning the 7.62 NATO round for the 5.56 millimeter. Every infantryman should be a marksman, and he should have the proper rifle and cartridge to exploit this skill. Anyway, that's my gun rant. I know I'm old school, or maybe just old, but that's how I see it. Serious Dave, out.